Welcome back. This is Growl, and I'm excited to have you here. I'm going to be doing something tonight that I've been contemplating doing for a long time, and all I need you to do is make sure you're in a position where you can really settle in, because tonight I'm going to tell you a story about a really quiet little town and a quiet little clockmaker and this sleepy village. Okay? The story is called The Clockmaker's Cottage. Now, when you're ready, relax, close your eyes, and the story will begin. On the edge of a cobblestone square, in a village that liked to sleep early, there was a narrow little cottage with a crooked roof and a round, polished bell above the door. The bell did not ring loudly. It did not clang or crash. It made a small, careful sound, a muted click, more than a chime, as if it were whispering instead of calling out. Inside that cottage lived Corinne, the clockmaker. Corinne was not famous. He did not hurry. He liked tiny screws, tiny springs, and the quiet company of ticking things. At night, when the square was empty and the street lamps were lit, his workshop came alive with soft, layered sounds. The gentle tap of metal tools, the quiet clack of wooden drawers, the smooth slide of glass doors closing on old display cases, and of course, the clocks. Tick, tick, tick. Not harsh, not sharp, just steady, like a slow heartbeat for the whole village. One winter evening, after the last customer left and the square had grown still, Corinne locked the front door and set a little copper kettle on the stove in the back room. The kettle had a chipped handle and a shiny lid that fit with a neat, satisfying click. He enjoyed closing it. He would press it down gently and listen to that tiny sound as if it were some kind of greeting. Click. The lid in place. Tick. The clocks replying. While the water warmed, Corinne walked through his workshop, checking each clock in turn. On the left wall, there were tall clocks with wooden cases, standing in a careful row. They did not shout the time. They sighed it, each tick muffled by polished wood. On the right wall, there were smaller clocks, pocket watches in velvet trays, silver travel clocks with folding stands, round brass desk clocks with glass faces that reflected the low lamplight. The air was full of tiny, polite noises, little clicks as he opened and closed cases, soft taps as he adjusted hands, the faint scratch of his pen as he noted the time in a small leather book. He moved from clock to clock, whispering to them the way other people might speak to plants. Steady now, he would murmur. Not too quick, not too slow. Outside, the village was quiet. Snow rested on the roofs in a clean, simple layer. Light from the lampposts fell on cobblestones in soft, round puddles. In one small house, a child named Tessa lay awake, staring at the ceiling. She had tried to sleep. She had closed her eyes and turned over and pulled the blankets up under her chin. But her thoughts kept tapping against her mind like knuckles on a door. What if I forget my lines for the school play? What if I lose my place? What if everyone looks at me? Her room was dark, except for a faint stripe of light from the window. She could not hear much from the square, just the quiet hush of the wind, and every so often, a very gentle sound. Tick. She turned her head. There, on her shelf, sat the little clock Corinne had fixed for her family. A round, clicky thing with a smooth white face and thin black hands. Tick. It was not too loud. It simply did not stop. Tessa sat up, listened harder, and then slid out of bed. Bare feet on the floor, soft pads on old wood. She crossed the room and picked up the clock, holding it close enough to hear the deeper layers of its sound. Tick, tick. A tiny click each time the second hand reached the top. A small, steady clack inside the case where the gear teeth met. The more she listened, the less room there was for the busy tapping of worry in her mind. What if, she whispered to the clock, I just follow your sound instead? She took a breath in, matching the slow clock count of 5 ticks. She let it go over another count of 5. The little clock did not care about school plays or forgotten lines. It knew only the next moment and the one after that. In the square, the bell over Corinne's cottage door made a soft click as he stepped outside with his tea. He liked to lean on the doorway and watch the snow fall. Steam slipped from the cup in slow, silver ribbons. He could hear the layered ticking behind him, even through the walls. He closed his eyes. In his mind, the entire village had a rhythm. The tall clocks in the hallways, the watches in the drawers, the small saucer clocks on bedside tables, each one ticking, each one keeping its own tiny promise. He imagined those ticks spilling out gently into bedrooms, into kitchens, into quiet, worried minds. Tick, you are here. Tick, you are okay. Tick, you only have to live this moment. Back in her room, Tessa lay down again, clock in hand. She rested it on the pillow beside her ear. The sound felt closer now, fuller. She could hear a faint, almost whispered click each time one gear kissed another, like someone saying a tiny, kind word over and over. Click, click, tick. She pictured the clockmaker, a calm man with careful hands, smoothing tiny screws into place so the clock would not rush and would not stall. Her breathing began to match the pattern. Tick, in, tick, out. The next time her thoughts tried to tap on the door of her mind, they met the steady wall of that sound and just slowed. Her eyelids felt heavier, her jaw looser. The lines of worry stretched out and faded, like deep footprints slowly filling with new snow. The square stayed quiet. The clocks kept ticking. The night grew deeper and softer and kinder. Somewhere between one tick and the next, Tessa drifted into sleep, still holding the clicky little clock as if it were a small, dependable friend. In the cottage doorway, Corinne finished his tea, went back inside, and turned down the lamp. The last thing he heard before he slept was the sound he loved most. Tick, tick, tick. each tiny sound a gentle reminder that time could move in a calm, unhurried way, and that the village would rest as long as it needed to. If sleep has found you already, or if you're still awake, you can imagine a small clock of your own ticking softly on the table beside you. You don't have to keep track. You don't have to keep count. Just let the steady, quiet rhythm hold your thoughts. If you are asleep, let it carry you the rest of the way through the night. You are safe, and you are allowed to rest. If you'd like more of these stories, click the subscribe button, turn on your notifications. That way you'll know when I upload. Thank you for your time, and rest well.